and Food Network fans. Rather, human history and our own personal experience support this simple truth. Life is about food. Indeed, life has always been about food. The flourishing of ancient civilizations depending on establishing, maintaining, and controlling a food source, whether in the desert, the plains, the coast, or the mountains. How one finds, cultivates, cooks, and chooses food determines much about one's lifestyle. Culture, heritage, and family traditions find invaluable expression through food. Further, what we eat tells the story of who we are. Our food choices communicate how we are sustained, what resources we have available, where we come from, and our choices and our priorities. Life is about what we eat. But as followers of Jesus, we believe that He is the bread of life, the source of our sustenance. This has serious implications for us, both individually and as a community, for we believe Jesus gives us life and sustains us with more than enough for the journey. In today's world, it is countercultural to claim that we need God, that God is the source of life. Yet in our first reading from Exodus, we hear about the people of Israel who wholly depended on God for their very survival, and God is faithful. Despite their grumbling, God proved time and time again His sustenance was more than enough for them. In today's gospel, Jesus draws the crowd's attention to this familiar Exodus story. The Israelites wandering in the wilderness, in struggle, in fear, and in uncertainty. When the food ran out and their lives were on the line, God came through once again, and it rained more than enough bread from heaven. Will not Jesus, who is the bread of life, our source of life and strength, sustain us each day with more than enough on our journey toward God's promise? Jesus invites the crowd of yesterday and the crowd here today to transformation into a new way of experiencing Him and themselves, ourselves. For the crowd and for us, this means that by accepting Jesus as our bread of life, we have to cast off our old ways of thinking and our old ways of living. We must shed our habits of toiling for perishable things. We must put our full confidence in our faith that Jesus' substance is more than enough. Jesus asks us to let go of all of the distractions we often place at the center of our lives. Things like success, power, money, and other people's opinions, and to focus on Him. Then, as we claim Jesus as the source and center of our lives, as more than enough for us. We are given the strength, as Paul writes in Ephesians, to put away the old self of our former way of life and put on our new self. My friends, when we die, we take neither our accomplishments nor our material possessions with us. There will be no U-Haul behind the hearse. Jesus, on the other hand, offers us himself, bread for all eternity. This is and will always be more than enough for us. The document that was released after the Synod of Bishops met at the Vatican to discuss the Eucharist was entitled, "The Eucharist, the Source and Summit of the Life and Mission of the Church." Here is just a little of what was said. Feeding on the Eucharist, Christians nourish their soul and become the soul which sustains the world. My friends, we are called to be a Eucharistic people. The document went on to say, it spurs us on the journey through history and plants a seed of living hope in our daily commitment to the work before us, in the family, at work, and in society. From this social character of the Eucharist, each person's mission in the church receives its power and trust. My friends, the Eucharist is the power that transforms us and strengthens us in virtue. Accepting our call to be a Eucharistic people has tremendous personal and social implications. It simultaneously calls believers to place their complete trust in God and to be the soul of society today, becoming bread from heaven for those who hunger and thirst for justice. As believers, we claim that Jesus is the bread of life. This faith-filled assertion invites us to deepen our trust in the Lord and to live as a Eucharistic people. In Jesus, with Jesus, through Jesus, we always have more than enough. Amen.